This is a real short video to show you, give you an introduction to calculators. I'll show you how they work in a follow-up video, but for right now, what I'm going to do is show you where they are. So you've logged in, and under the back office, you've got two options for calculators. You've got discrete calculators and continuous and discrete calculators. And we're going to look at the continuous calculators right now. And what you see is I've set up three calculators for you. You can look at them and you can see, gives you a feel for the different kinds of calculators that you can create. And I'll show you how to create ones in a follow-up video. But for right now, let's look at a simple calculator first. So here's a very simple calculator, and it's got the function here, and it's got the independent variables. And then over here, this is what a user is going to see. The user, when we embed the calculator in other areas of the site, the user is going to see just this little area here with the variable names, and then they enter in the variables, and it will solve for the dependent variable, which is A. So if we just put in 2 for C, 3 for B, and we tell it to solve, it knows that the answer is 5 based on this equation that we gave it. And you can see, here's an example of a slightly more complicated equation. This is a Pythagorean theorem. So again, what you see is a squared plus b squared equals c squared, but you got to take the square root because you have to have, you can't have c squared on this side, you have to have c. But again, our independent variables are a and b, and if we plug in 3 for b and 4 for a, we see that the answer is 5. And up here at the Mac calculator, this is the actual equation, or the system of equations that we use. And what I'm showing here is that you don't have to limit yourself to simply one equation. If you want to put in multiple equations, you can. And the only rule is that any variables, notice in this second equation, we have this variable t. If you're going to use variables that are determined by another equation, you need to declare those first. So we have to have the equation up here that defines what t is first, and then we can use it in the second equation down here. And if you have a third equation, a fourth equation, if you want to have a calculator that uses 6, 7, 8 equations, you can. You just have to make sure that variables in one equation have been defined in a previous equation, or you've listed it as an independent variable. And so one of the things to notice here is that in this case, the independent variables are tip chord and root chord, and t is not an independent variable because t is solved for up here. So that's one thing you have to keep in mind when you're listing what these independent variables are. You just need to make sure you get that part right, and the underlying engine will take care of the rest. And on the next video, I will get into how to create a calculator, but it's pretty simple.